There you go.
Ah,
This is the
guck mal, das ist doch nicht ein Video, was ich mir anschauen will.
loudest thing my neighbors have ever heard.
Ja!
It's so loud I need to take off my ears every time I run it. And today, I'm going to see the top speed of this baby. In my safest video yet, where I don't get arrested or burn my property down.
I destroyed the jet engine.
Alright, so I already have one pulse jet which sat on a swing and was too scary for me to be on. So my safer idea is to put it on this tiny boat. But first, I need to make the pulse jet self-start.
Direkt Polizei vor der Tür. Ja, es gibt leider viele Sachen. Das Ding ist, alles, was witzig ist, ist verboten. Aus gutem Grund, I guess. Aus gutem Grund, aber...
As at the moment, it takes an annoying amount of time to start with a leaf blower, which is funny when it burns my mate.
Fire in the hole.
It won't be possible on the water. I want to just press a button and have it turn on. And I think I can do it by just fiddling around with the fuel line and making it so it pulls in air and not just gas. So its first explosion has enough force to pull
Ich schwöre, das sieht aus wie aus Rust.
more air in and get it started. So I cut out my fuel line and put it in a better spot. And by better, I mean trying completely random locations until it felt right. And then used a tissue to check how much airflow there is. And I think that's a good sign. So I welded it up and gave it a go.
Bro, also das ist aber auch wirklich krank, ne? Der hat keine Sicherheitsschuhe an, keine Brille, kurze Hose, T-Shirt. In der Wohnung.
And it's definitely less funny when that happens to me and not my mate. So I better not look down the exhaust anymore. And it ain't working, so I chatted to this guy, Build and Pulse Jets, who's one of the kings of making pulse jets on YouTube. And after talking, he sent me an email with some very small changes I could make.
What the fuck?
Including just opening the gas quicker and threatening to harm the pulse jet's children. So I tried that.
Like what I did to your brother? Huh? Do ya?
And that was awesome. So I did it again.
Okay, ist das verboten in Deutschland?
And again. And it's amazing how much better these engines run with.
Darf ich in Deutschland einen Puls-Chat in Größe eines Kleinwagens bauen? Fragezeichen.
Some small changes. And if you want to learn out how to do it, go check out his channel. And I'm really curious how this pulse jet sounds from far away, as when I put a decibel reader near it, I got 150 decibels, which is louder than a passenger plane and loud enough to cause physical damage, which explains why my head hurts.
Kurze Antwort. Grundsätzlich ja. Ein Pulschat ist an sich keine Waffe und fällt nicht unter das Waffen- oder Sprengstoffgesetz. Es ist nur ein Verbrennungsmotor ohne bewegliche Teile. Verboten ist der Bau also nicht. Das eigentliche Problem bei einem Ding in Kleinwagengröße ist alles drumherum. Lärm ist der größte Knackpunkt. Pulsjets sind absurd laut. Schon kleine Modelle liegen bei 120 Dezibel plus. Ein großer würde locker 140 Dezibel plus erreichen. Damit verstößt beim Betrieb in Wohngebieten ziemlich sicher gegen das Bundesemissionsschutzgesetz bzw. die TA-Lärm- und die Landesemissionsschutzgesetze. Realistisch bräuchtest du ein abgelegenes Privatgelände, einen Flugplatz mit Genehmigung oder ein Industriegelände und selbst da kann die Behörde einschreiten, wenn sich jemand beschwert. Brandschutz und Kraftstoff. Größere Mengen Benzin und Propan lagern und verbrennen kann je nach Menge unter die Gefahrstoffverordnung und Betriebssicherheitsverordnung fallen. Die Flamme und heiße Abgase eines großen Pulsjets sind mehrere Meter lang. Funkenflug und Brandgefahr sind real, gerade im Sommer. Haftung. Wenn was schief geht, Rohr platzt, Brand, Gehörschaden bei Zuschauern, was für Zuschauer, haftest du privat voll. Deine Privathaftpflicht deckt sowas im Zweifel nicht ab, weil es als ungewöhnlich gefährliche Tätigkeit gelten kann. Was du damit nicht darfst, an ein Fahrzeug schrauben und auf öffentlichen Straßen fahren. Keine Chance auf TÜV-Zulassung. und fliegen lassen sowieso nicht ohne luftrechtliche Genehmigung. Statischer Prüfstandbetrieb auf geeignetem Gelände mit Einverständnis des Eigentümers und genug Abstand zur Nachbarschaft ist der realistische Weg. So machen das auch die Leute in der Szene. In Deutschland gibt es tatsächlich eine kleine Pulso-Community, unter anderem aus dem Modellflugbereich. Also, guck mal, ich bin leider geldgebt. Es fehlt mir an Geld. Ich brauche ein riesiges Privatgelände und ein Haus auf diesem Privatgelände. In der Nähe von Köln. Unbezahlbar. Und ich bräuchte dann auf diesem Privatgelände noch einen riesigen See.
So, if I want to turn it on remotely, all I need is a solenoid, an Arduino, and a laptop. And then using the sponsor of today's video, AnyDesk, I could turn on the PulseJet without being anywhere near it. Or use it to access my computer without being there, which is actually very useful. Let's say cops are coming over for something dodgy.
Es gibt kleine Flughäfen, wo du eine Genehmigung kriegst. Ich kenne da was. Also mal jetzt, also unironisch, wenn ihr irgendwen kennt, der so eine kleine Halle in und um Köln hat, wo ich Sachen ab und zu bauen könnte, meldet euch mal bei mir auf Instagram oder so.
I've done. I can get remote access to my computer and then delete anything I want. AnyDesk allows you to manage and access your devices from anywhere in the world with low latency and low bandwidth. Meaning, if your parents are
Du
old
kannst 2 Meter Peter fragen, der kann was klar machen. Wirklich?
and don't know how to use the TikTok, you can log on to their computer and help them with any technical support remotely. Or you can access your own computer remotely and do editing or anything else you want. AnyDesk is free for personal use and allow custom plans for businesses, and it's so easy to use. AnyDesk is also a pretty sick company, and they told me they will pay for whatever crazy and dangerous video ideas you come up with. So if you have any ridiculous video ideas that you want me to try, like turning the PulseJets into a missile and then bombing New Zealand, submit them to anydesk.com/science. And if your idea gets picked, you'll win some prizes.
Das Ding ist, nehmen wir an, ich würde solche Art von Videos machen, dann würde ich da auch irgendwas Dummes machen wollen. Es macht keinen Sinn, ein 3D-Druck-Video zu machen. Was ist das denn für eine lahme Scheiße? Ich mach doch nicht, ich mach eine Halterung für den Duschabzieher, den 3D druck ich selbst. Das ist langweilig, da habe ich keine Lust dazu.
Thank you to AnyDesk for sponsoring this video. So now I'm going to try it on the boat.
Also wenn ich mir Zeit nehme und jemals sowas machen werde, ich weiß legit genug, ich habe genug Informationen in meinem Kopf, um dumme Sachen zu machen, aber dann muss auch was Witziges sein.
Jet engine, test 1, here we go.
That looks alright, but I reckon it needs more thrust, as I wanted it to go through the garage wall. So I'm going to revisit this top hat, an augmenter, which just increases the mass flow by pulling in more air for the PulseJet to move. But
Bau eine Waffe, die durch den Metallscanner kommt.
I still don't believe they work. And I carefully made a hole in the boat.
Yeah, what the fuck did I do with that load? Got a hole in the boat for no fucking reason.
Then put some pins in the old weld holes and pushed it back in place. And at least if it doesn't work, the PulseJet now has a bigger hat than every other PulseJet out there. And I don't think I learnt anything from that, as I've got no way of comparing it to the old PulseJet, so I pulled out the scale. And then I did a comparison test between augmenter on and augmenter off, but I forgot to turn on the scale when using the augmenter, which counts as a reading of 0 thrust, which means no augmenter wins. But before I cut it off, I want to try one more thing, using the augmenter like an afterburner and injecting more gas into the exhaust, which will hopefully double the thrust for some reason.
Er sieht auch so, also Real Talk Chat. Er sieht auch so ein bisschen aus, als hätte er ein bisschen Panik.
And you can tell I wasn't very good at birthday cakes as a kid, as obviously the PulseJet just blows out the flame. So I made a thing to try and protect the flame on the gas pipe and gave that a go. I don't think anything was happening. Now in this clip, you'll see I'm getting real desperate, and I just chucked a random cone piece of metal in. And that worked really well if my intention was to put Ahmet, my local Turkish waxer, out of business, which I really don't want to do. In fact, he is probably going to cry just seeing this footage. And the burn made me real thirsty, and after having some milk, I realized this milk jug is kind of exactly the shape of a valved pulse jet, which I could make as well and put on the boat to get more thrust. All I need are some valves. Sorry, I mean valves.
Das ist so cool.
And they allow air in this way, but don't let it out the other way, just like a vulva. So now I just need to make some kind of plate for them to attach to, which is the perfect job for my new tool, the Wazer, which is an awesome
Das finde ich so cool, ne?
small water jet cutter that makes light work with
Toll.
metal like this. And this is really much better than doing water cutting
Der hat einen kleinen, so einen Wasserjet-Schneider.
like I
Toll.
used to. Which did
Ja,
work, but was quite messy. But now I just draw a picture
Bro, ich frage mich immer,
and it cuts water.
der hat viele Abonnenten und der macht viele Aufrufe auf seine Videos. Aber der lädt im Jahr 4 Videos hoch. Wenn wir zählen mal nur was, also 4 Videos lädt er im Jahr hoch. Damit kann er nicht sein Geld verdienen. Es geht nicht. Es geht nicht. 4 Videos, egal wie viel Aufrufe die haben, reichen nicht, um deinen Lebensunterhalt zu finanzieren. Der muss irgendwie anders Cash machen. Und selbst wenn der Partner, ich sag, ein Partner zahlt auf so ein Video vielleicht, weiß es nicht, ist schwer einzuschätzen. Die werden schon gut zahlen, aber die werden jetzt nicht über 20.000 Euro zahlen pro Video. Dann sind das 80.000 Euro, das ist viel Geld, aber der muss das ja auch alles finanzieren, das muss er dann trotzdem noch versteuern und dann muss der alles finanzieren, was er noch macht. Vielleicht macht der OnlyFans, wie viel zu meine
Whatever I tell it to. Alright, it doesn't fit, so I try it again and again. And eventually I got them to fit. And this isn't the Wazer's fault, I've just been using MS Paint to make 2D files. Then I just put it in the milk jug with a gas line and gave it a go. And if you were shouting at the computer right now saying this won't work, that's kind of weird. And you should probably see a psychiatrist for that aggressive behavior. But yes, I don't know why I was expecting this to work. This milk jug looks nothing like a valved pulse jet besides the fact it has some valves. But after gassing myself with whatever lead-laced arsenic paint was on the bottle, I was feeling quite high, so I just gave up. So I've decided I'm just going to go back to doing what I know best, rolling some cones. And I'm just going to make another pulse jet and put it on the boat. And to save me the hassle of rolling the sheet metal by hand, I
Mann, ey.
this blind-
Boah, der sieht ja auch atzig aus, der Typ.
I've shed and used his roller. And even though I've made a lot of cones now, I've never really got the hang of it, but at least my welds are getting better and better. But the more I put it together, the more it was beginning to feel really wrong. So I just drank an entire box of wine before seeing if the pulse jet works. And it wouldn't start, and it did this weird thing where it broke my camera. So I'm going to blame my welds, and I'm going to attempt to fix them with TIG welding, something I've never done before, and just try smooth out my welds. If you don't know much about TIG welding, this weld right here is what you are looking for. It's got lots of little relief holes which allow excess gas to escape the metal so no cracks will form. Also, the lumpier your welds look, the stronger they usually are. You also want to touch the tungsten stick to the metal so it melts as much as possible, as that way you'll have to sharpen the end, meaning you get lots of work breaks and have a nice work-life balance. And then after comparing it to the other one I made, I've realized I made the pulse jets completely different sizes. Which is very weird.
Ist das geil. Nee, ich liebe ihn so sehr, weil er einfach macht, ne?
As I did follow my plans exactly.
Zu Zong Bi Cao Wood Lockwood Hiller. Pension.
And that means I need to cut it apart and build it again without any of my proper tools or workbench. But that also means I finally get to live out my dream of looking
Retalk, dafür braucht man dann,
like
das
a cat.
ist wofür, das ist die nächste Stufe AI, sage ich. Weil wenn ich jetzt frage, guck mal, ich frage jetzt, okay, gib mir eine Anleitung mit Blaupause und technischer Zeichnung, um einen Pulsjet zu bauen, welcher ein kleines Boot antreiben kann. Ich schwöre, er wird sagen, macht er nicht. Er sagt, macht er nicht. Ich überdenke die Sicherheitsbedenken dieser Anfrage. Abwägend zwischen Legalität und hobbyistischer Anwendung, ja. Denk mal stark nach.
Cambodian bicycle repairman.
Kalibriere Schubkraft und Verbrennungskammerdimension. Er macht? Leute, wie halte ich meine... perfekt. Jungs, er ist dabei. Er macht einfach.
เฝ้าแต่เพ้อเธอไม่นานรักเพียงเธอมากกว่าใครตัดสินใจไปกับเธอด้วยความหวัง
And I stuffed up. This song playing right now is
Wow.
Thai, not Cambodian. But I shouldn't have told you, as you're a racist and wouldn't have known the difference. But at least the pulse jets look the same, which I hope means they work. But I'm going to have to use another boat, as this one is a little too small, and also some idiot made a hole in it. So I thought I should replace it with a boat with even bigger and better holes in it. Big nut.
Wo hat
But
er
I'm going to fill up
einmal
the
Boot
holes,
her?
as I don't want any fish getting a free upskirt on me while I'm on the water. So I filled them up with some privacy goo, which I hope keeps the fish away. I'm looking at you, Blue Groper. And in my previous pulse jet swing, I just shoved a normal
Nee,
barbecue
Retalk,
gas
was
hose
ich,
in a
also, ich glaube, das würde ich nicht nachmachen, weil das ist jetzt schon,
pipe,
das
which
hat er jetzt
leaked.
gemacht. Ich würde gerne was Eigenes machen. Worauf ich richtig Bock hätte, wäre ein Boot zu machen, was so übers Wasser schwebt. Oder von mir aus auch so einen eigenen, diese Surfbretter mit dem Flügel unten drunter. Die hier. Sowas, aber mit Motor. Heilige Scheiße. Sowas gibt's. Kostet aber 20.000 Euro. Und ich sag, das muss keine 20.000 Euro kosten. Da brauchst du keine 20.000 Euro für.
And that was
niemals.
actually very useful, as it meant I could smell if the gas was on or not.
Stop.
Oh,
no,
oh.
it was spraying liquid propane onto you. Joe, get away.
But since I want both of these to run on liquid
Was hat
propane,
er gesagt? It was spraying liquid.
which is much more
Octane?
powerful, a leak could be very bad.
Katzen
So I
geht's
made
gut.
these threaded inserts on the lathe, which I'm going to try shrink fitting
Nichts
and pushing
verlangen.
inside this pipe. And I don't have a freezer up here, so I had the genius idea of just using the propane to both shrink and expand the part.
Oh, Claude hat tatsächlich gekocht. Das finde ich doch schon wieder, das finde ich doch der Wahnsinn. Also jetzt weiß ich kann es natürlich nicht verifizieren, was davon richtig ist und was nicht. Aber das ist die Anleitung. Eine robuste Zielsetzung. Ein robuster, ventilloser Pulsjet mit ca. 20 bis 25 Newton Schub. 2 bis 2,5 Kilogramm. Geeignet, um ein leichtes Boot bis ca. 120 Kilogramm Gesamtmasse, 3 Meter Rumpf auf 6 bis 8 km/h zu bringen. Ventilos deshalb, weil es keine Verschleißteile gibt. Hat eine Pulsjet-Zeichnung noch gemacht. Kann ich die hier öffnen? Zeichnung nicht maßstäblich in der Darstellung des Einlassbogens. Alle Nähte durchgeschweißt, gasdicht. Einlass, Mündung, Rohmaß, Brennkammer, Konus, Schubrohr, Aufweitung, Frontdeckel. Das sieht jetzt mal gar nicht schlecht aus. Ich kann es halt gar nicht verifizieren, ne? Oh, es war ein Prompt. Ich find's verrückt.
And it's looking pretty cold, so hopefully it goes in. And it did go in, about as much as your dad, but it should be enough. And now I need to use liquid hoses, which are rated to not explode, unlike this one. But the only difference I can see is that these
Hätte
ones are
schlechter erwartet, ich auch.
covered in a fine layer of pubic hair. I also need a tank specifically rated for liquid LPG, as the pressure and forces are much, much higher. These blue ones, which are very expensive. And the reason these bottles are so expensive is because they have a special valve straw thing inside that sucks up the liquid propane and not the gas. So I just made my own by painting the top of a normal LPG bottle blue. Now I reckon the pulse jets are going to look the coolest if they are kind of in a formation like this. And we didn't do any measurements, we just welded it up, which somehow fit on the boat, and then couldn't resist seeing if it starts up. And that sounded more like a fart escaping my butt cheeks than a pulse jet. So something is wrong. So I tried starting it on gas, not liquid, as I know it started like that before. And they seemed like they wanted to start, but were almost interfering with each other. And I think I know who to blame. The wogs. The 2,000 of them inside this ball valve, which means there might not be enough room for the gas to flow. It could also be the exhausts messing with each other, which actually makes sense. Here's the problem with having two. It's a bit like trying to breathe, but you have another man trying to breathe right in front of your face. And when I breathe, he breathes out. So I'm breathing in, but I'm getting his used CO2 and not clean oxygen. And it's exactly the same with these pulse jets. If they pulse out of sync, they can't breathe. But if I put something in between the men, that means they can't breathe each other's breath.
Oh, aber geil.
So I tried doing that with the pulse jets. And also combined the combustion chambers with a bit of pipe so they pulse and sync, and then sealed up the gaps with what I hope was clay.
Is it poo?
Which still didn't work, so I'm going to try and isolate them all. I'm going to cut the frame in half and put these rubber stoppers underneath so they aren't vibrating each other as much. Then also tilt them away from each other so they aren't sucking each other off. which still didn't work, which makes me think it must be this T-junction or WOG valve. As maybe when one starts to run, it's pulsing up the gas line, or one of them just starts to take all the fuel. So I'm going to try separate bottles, one gas and one liquid. But because it's too hot to get behind the liquid propane and it also won't self-start, I shoved some pipe into a leaf blower and gave that a go.
Bro, aber er muss ja auch so viel Vertrauen in diese Stäbe hier haben, ne? Was ist, wenn er das nicht richtig festgemacht hat oder hier nicht irgendwie und das Ding fliegt einfach voll in ihn rein?
And that works really well, except that I smell smoke. My first thought was that it was my Lebanese neighbor doing a wedding again. But then I realized it was on my property.
Oh, there's fires!
And that's when I got scared. Not for my life, but for my chairs, as I had left my 2 favorite sitting chairs up the back of the property, and they really, really hate
Bro, du hast doch seine perfekten Nähte gesehen.
This was our sitting chair.
Wait, but look, that was yours.
No, that was yours, man.
No, this is
Hey,
yours.
get out of here. That was the old one. Just don't give me the burnt one. Get out of here.
Man, look up there.
Oh, it's on fire. That was your chair.
I did not fall back into the ash.
Such a destructive element.
Alright, now I just need to paint another
Also wenn
bottle.
du sowas in Deutschland machst und streamst, kommt morgen das Ordnungsamt, übermorgen das Umweltamt und nach das Gesundheitsamt das Gefahrstoffamt und so weiter. Also Claude meinte, ist okay.
Blue if I want them both to be running on liquid LPG.
Solange ich aufs Privatgelände mache.
And they are still acting a bit weird and not working as consistently as when one is gas and one liquid. And I thought spark plugs might help, and previously I just welded them in, but this time I'm being smart and I made this bung here, which will allow me to change the spark plug when it gets dirty. And I was feeling great about myself until I realized the spark plug I want to use isn't the same size as the bung. So I ended up just welding it in, then wired up some tasers to this gyrocopter control panel and gave it a test. And it's working like half the time. They're mostly still fighting each other. Like in this clip, they both started well until one of them flamed out. And then look how the other one sucks in the flames.
Oh.
So I put the divider back in between them. Which worked, and then put the final touches on, before realizing I have no way to move the boat, which now weighs over 200 kilos. So I just got this old hitch and decided to weld an engine hoist to it, so I can steal this jet ski's trailer.
Keep showing my license plate.
Das
I've
ist
no-
so rumgepfuscht,
No idea if
Alter.
this is smart to do.
Geil.
I might just be bending my car's frame, but it did work, and now Big Nut is on its trailer ready for a test on the water.
It's a little bit of overhang, right?
It's more on than not.
It is
Ja, ich check auch nicht, wie der da so nah dran sitzen kann, die ganze Zeit mit
more
dieser
on than not.
But
Metallröhre.
it turns out this pulse jet isn't as quiet as I thought.
Oh.
And a cop pulled me over in the driveway about the noise.
I'm a dumb guy.
And then, back in Sydney, some cops showed up. And yes, I may have also turned it on in Sydney. And at first it was quite awkward, as I explained to them that I definitely only ordered male strippers, and they were also 2 hours early. But the cops were very nice and fair, and just told me I shouldn't be running the jet engine
Guter
next to a
Gag.
preschool, which is also fair. But how else are kids going to learn about science? They also referenced my other videos and told me to stop making things that resemble guns, which I have never done. And then the constable asked if her colleague could lean on my house as he was feeling quite tired, and I said yes. And they finished by telling me if I turn it on again, they're going to get a warrant and come back and shoot me, which is also fair. So I promised them I would never ever turn it on again, on land. and the boat was already filling up with water. And I also haven't figured out steering. I just went in circles. So we thought what might help
Das ist so
is
scheiße,
putting
ne?
80 kilos of rocks in the back, as the boat is sitting nose down in the water, so that might lift the front up. And immediately I realized my idea of steering via differential thrust and throttling them up and down was going to be really hard. I'm kind of working in reverse. So I tried again, but this time using a paddle to steer. Which just immediately filled the boat full of water.
Irgendwie satisfying.
And you'll notice I don't have a heat shield protecting me or the gas bottles from the pulse jets. And my logic was that the wind pushing past me would cool me down. I was wrong, and after running it for only 10 seconds, I was getting real hot and my skin was starting to burn up, and I almost considered jumping in the water. So we put some more rocks in and then made a heat shield and did it again.
Oh, ich würde gerne wissen, wie laut das wirklich ist. Irgendwie underwhelming. Ja, er ist nicht so schnell, aber er sieht schon cool aus.
And the noise was starting to attract a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's the goal. It sounds really loud and powerful, like it should go fast, but it's like I'm probably going the same speed as you guys. It's pretty disappointing so far.
And the confusion of people trying to work it out was definitely the most entertaining thing about building this.
What, you just thought he was
Warte, was
Trying to work it out
Anyone know what the loud, strange grinding noise is echoing over Smith's Lake the last few days?
was definitely the most entertaining thing about building this.
What, you just thought he was bringing in bigger and bigger
No,
tools.
I didn't think it was my neighbour anymore.
Some people thought it was a tsunami, military planes.
What on earth was that mind-shattering noise that just went over Tanqueray? Sounded like a huge low-flying military plane or a
Mining
tsunami.
equipment, our Prime Minister, the closest guess was definitely a brothel. And I'm not sure what kind of brothels Peter is visiting, but everyone I've been to usually just sound like beautiful women pointing and laughing at me. And I tried again.
Aber er fährt gerade immerhin. Er ist wirklich nicht so schnell.
And that time worked out steering a bit better, and I can turn it in the direction I want by throttling them with the ball valve. But I'm not getting the boat up on plane, and I'm just pushing the nose down into the water. So we chucked even more rocks into the boat and some Hindi gods I found in the water for good luck.
Ja, man sieht Scheibe auf Wasser, das ist extrem cool. Ja doch, wenn beide an sind. Das glüht. Ja, ich glaube, das ist heiß. Bin mir da nicht so sicher.
I destroyed the jet engine.
Oh.
I destroyed the jet engine.
And that was my best run yet, and I got up to 29 k's an hour. In American units, that's the length of 61 World Trade Centers an hour. But I also destroyed one of the pulse jets. And that probably happened because the heat shield was blocking the wind from cooling it and also reflecting the heat back into the tube, but that means I'm done. Which is a shame, as if I had just spent a little bit more time figuring out proper weighting of the boat, it probably would have got up on the plane and would have gone a lot faster. But I guess now we'll never know how fast the boat goes. Thank you so much for watching. If you like that, please subscribe and check out some
Geiles Video.